old honey badger, silver along the back, black beneath, with one ear torn down to a ragged notch by some fight the desert has long since forgotten. He walks the way he has walked for years, nose to the earth, reading the ground like a page only he can see. He lives alone, the way his kind almost always do. His territory covers more ground than a lion's, and he patrols it without company, without a pack to warn him, without anyone to share a kill. Everything he has survived by himself. Every scar on that battered hide is a story with only one witness. He is hungry, and tonight, that hunger is about to lead him straight into the one animal that could kill him before he ever lands a bite. But here is the strange thing about this story. In a moment, this badger is going to be bitten by one of the most venomous snakes on the entire continent. He is going to stiffen. He is going to fall. He is going to lie in the sand, for all the world completely, unmistakably dead. And then he is going to get back up. To understand how, you have to forget almost everything the legend has told you about this animal. For as long as people have shared this land with the honey badger, they have told stories about it. That it fears nothing, that it cannot be killed, that it will take on a lion and win. Kilogram for kilogram, it may be the most fearless creature in Africa, and unlike most legends, this one grew from something real. But the truth underneath the myth is stranger and far more fragile than the stories ever admit. The badger stops. His nose has found something on the wind. A dry, musky scent threaded through the cooling air. He lifts his head, and his small dark eyes fix on a break in the grass ahead, where the sand has been disturbed in a smooth, winding line. A snake has passed this way. Recently. For nearly any other predator on these plains, that scent is a warning, a reason to change direction and look for an easier meal. The desert is full of animals that have learned, through generations of death, to leave snakes alone. The honey badger is not one of them. To him, that scent is not a warning. It is dinner. He follows the trail, and the trail leads to a low tangle of dry brush at the base of a termite mound. And there, coiled in the last warmth of the day, is a Cape cobra. It is not large. It does not need to be. The Cape cobra carries some of the most potent venom of any snake in Africa. A dense, fast-moving neurotoxin, evolved not to tear flesh, but to switch a body off from the inside. One good bite is enough to kill an animal many times the badger's size. The snake feels the vibration of approaching feet, and it reacts the only way it knows how. It rears. The forebody lifts clear of the ground. The neck flattens into that unmistakable hood, and the head sways, tracking the shape moving toward it. It is a display that has ended 1,000 hunts before they began. A living sign that says, as clearly as anything in nature can, come closer and you die. The badger reads the sign and keeps coming. What follows is not a brawl, it is a duel. The cobra strikes, a blur of open fangs, and the badger is already twisting away, faster than something so heavy and low should be able to move. The fangs close on empty air. Before the snake can reset, the badger lunges, snapping at the body, and the cobra whips back out of reach. Again, the snake rises. Again, it strikes. Again, the badger slips the blow and darts in from the side. There is a rhythm to it now, brutal and precise. The cobra can only attack from the front, along the single line its raised body can reach. So the badger refuses to stay there. He circles wide, forcing the snake to turn, to reset, to spend itself chasing a target that is never quite where the fangs land. Each failed strike is a small tax on the cobra's strength, and the badger seems to know it. He is not trying to overpower the snake. He is trying to outlast it. They circle in the fading light, two ancient designs testing each other. The cobra has speed and a weapon that works in a single touch. The badger has that incredible rubber and agility, and a suit of armor most predators never even notice. Because the honey badger's skin is a weapon in its own right. It is thick and it is loose. So loose that when something grabs him, he can twist almost completely around inside his own hide and bite the thing holding him. Fangs, claws, quills, they all struggle to punch through that heavy, rolling layer to anything that matters underneath. But skin cannot stop everything. And a cobra does not need to reach anything vital. It only needs to land one clean bite anywhere and let the venom do the rest. The fight tightens. The badger presses, sensing the snake tiring, driving it back toward the mound. He sees his opening. He commits, throwing his whole weight into a lunge for the head. And the cobra meets him halfway. For a fraction of a second, the two are locked together. And in that instant, the fangs find him. A flash of white, a strike to the face, and the venom is in. The badger doesn't seem to notice. He finishes what he started. His jaws close on the back of the snake's skull, and it is over. The cobra thrashes, coils, squeezes, and slowly goes still. The hunter has won. He drags his kill into the open and begins to eat, tearing into the very animal that just sank its fangs into his face. But the venom is already moving. Cape Cobra neurotoxin works by hunting down a specific target inside the body. A tiny docking port where every nerve meets every muscle, a receptor that carries the brain's command to move. The venom is shaped to slide into that port and jam it shut. And when it does, the messages stop arriving. First, the small muscles, then the larger ones. The victim doesn't writhe in agony. It simply, quietly, stops being able to move at all. And now, mid-meal, it begins. The badger's jaws slow. His movements turn clumsy, then heavy. He sways. His legs begin to tremble beneath him, and then they give out entirely. He sags to the sand beside his half-eaten kill. His breathing shallows. His eyes glaze. And then he goes still. Utterly. Completely still. If you were standing here, in the last light of this Kalahari evening, you would be certain of one thing. The honey badger is dead. The snake got its revenge. The hunter overreached, and it cost him his life. And the desert wastes nothing. Out of the deepening shadows, a shape appears. A black-backed jackal drawn by the scent of blood and the promise of an easy meal. It comes in low and careful, ears pricked, testing the air. A fresh kill, and beside it, a fallen badger too still to defend anything. The jackal circles. It edges closer to the motionless silver body, close enough to see the glazed eyes, the shallow, barely there breathing. It hesitates. Even unconscious, even seemingly dead, a honey badger is not a thing most animals are eager to touch. Instinct whispers a warning that the mind cannot quite explain. The jackal takes one more step, and the badger's paw twitches. The jackal freezes. Then, thinking better of the whole thing, it melts back into the shadows it came from, leaving the kill and the body beside it, untouched. Whatever is lying in the sand, some older instinct warns. It is not finished yet. Because the venom, for all its precision, has run into a problem it was never designed to solve. Deep in the honey badger's nerve endings, that critical docking port, the one the neurotoxin is built to grab, is the wrong shape. Somewhere far back in this animal's ancestry, that receptor changed. A small alteration, a few swapped building blocks right at the exact spot the venom aims for. And the effect is simple and profound. The toxin arrives. It reaches for its target, and it can no longer lock on. The key no longer fits the lock. Some of the venom still gets through, enough to drop him, enough to steal his strength and his consciousness for a while. But not enough to finish the job. And here is the detail that turns this from biology into something close to wonder. The honey badger did not invent this trick alone. The mongoose, that other famous snake killer, carries almost the exact same change. So does the hedgehog. So does the pig. 4 completely unrelated animals, scattered across the tree of life. Each stumbled independently onto the same molecular defense. Because against a poison this ancient, there are only so many locks worth changing. Evolution, running the same experiment 1,000 different times, kept arriving at the same quiet answer. So the badger is not dead. He is enduring. His body, even now, is breaking the venom down, clearing it molecule by molecule from a system built to survive exactly this. And slowly, as the stars come out over the desert, the paralysis begins to loosen its grip. A muscle jumps along his flank. His torn ear flicks against the sand. His breathing deepens. A leg pushes weakly against the ground, then again, with more purpose. And after minutes that would have been the end of nearly any other creature, the old honey badger lifts his head, blinks the world back into focus, and drags himself upright on unsteady legs. He stands there for a moment, swaying in the dark, legs braced wide against a world that is still spinning. His head hangs low. His sides heave. He looks less like a legend and more like an old, exhausted animal that has just clawed its way back from somewhere very close to the end. Then he turns, walks back to the cobra lying in the sand, and calmly finishes his meal, as if the last hour had been nothing more than an inconvenient pause in his evening. This is not a story someone invented. Wild honey badgers have been recorded doing exactly this. Bitten mid-hunt by snakes whose venom should have been an instant death sentence, collapsing into what looks like a coma, lying motionless for hours, and then waking, shaking it off, and returning to eat the very snake that felled them. But now, having watched the legend prove itself true, we have to be honest about where the legend ends. Because the honey badger is not immortal. It is not immune to everything. It does not shrug off venom the way the campfire stories claim. What it truly has is not invincibility. It is time. The resistance in its nerves does not cancel the venom. It buys the hours the body needs to survive it. Take a bite too large or too deep, or from the wrong kind of snake entirely, and even the honey badger dies out here alone like anything else. The reason we tell stories about its victories is simply that it survived often enough for the stories to stick. And venom resistance was never its only edge. There is the armor, the thick and rolling skin that turns fangs and stings and thorns into little more than pressure. It is why this same animal will tear open a hive swarming with furious bees and eat its fill while the stings rain down and mostly fail to reach him. It is how, long ago, he earned the name honey badger at all. And then there is the mind. Because this is not a mindless little tank. The honey badger is one of the cleverest predators in Africa. One of the very few animals ever seen using tools, stacking, rolling, digging, and problem-solving its way out of situations that should have held it. In a fight, that intelligence becomes something dangerous. It doesn't just attack. It calculates. It goes for the softest, most vulnerable part of a far larger enemy. And more than one lion, more than one leopard, has simply decided the meal was not worth the price. Stack it all together, the resistance, the armor, the audacity, the intelligence, and you begin to understand the truth the desert learned long ago. You leave the honey badger alone. Not because it cannot be beaten, but because beating it costs more than almost anyone can afford to pay. The old badger finishes the last of the cobra as the Kalahari cools around him. His torn ear flicks. His silver back catches the starlight. And without a backward glance, he walks off into the dark, hungry again already, looking for whatever comes next. Somewhere behind him, the desert keeps its oldest secret. That out here size was never the whole story. Strength was never the whole story. Speed was never the whole story. Sometimes survival belongs to the one small, stubborn animal too well built, and far too fearless to ever accept the moment it was supposed to lose.